Hey, hello, and welcome to the OnStage Colorado podcast once again. I'm Alex Miller.
And I'm Toni Tresca.
And joining us today is the KVO, Kelly Van Oosbree. How's it going, Kelly?
Oh, it's going great. Happy Monday.
All right. Director, choreographer, the new artistic director of Performance Now, the artistic director of Platte Valley Theater Arts, the director of Schoolhouse Rock, now on stage at the Aurora Fox, the director of the upcoming production of Frankenstein at Platte Valley. Damn, you're busy.
I am a busy lady.
Oh my God. It just makes me tired just looking at all that stuff.
Yeah.
So I was just looking, it was a year ago, right around this time that you were on the pod. So maybe we do a KVO thing every September or something.
Yeah. That sounds like a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll just go ahead and pencil you in for September 2026 then.
Great.
If we make it that far.
Yeah.
So today we're going to touch on some of the projects that you're working on, Kelly, as well as some things in the news happening around the state and some of the shows we've seen, which is, I think, a good place to start our conversation.
Yeah.
Alex, what have you checked out since we last talked?
Before we get to that, I just wanted to mention that later in the episode, we're going to have an interview with Ryan Fitzgerald, who's a member of the ensemble in the upcoming touring Broadway musical Shucked, which will be at the Denver Center Oct here pretty soon. So that'll be a fun conversation to kind of get the perspective of what it's like to be in a big touring show and what it was like to get to that point where you were being in a big touring Broadway show. So look forward to that a little later in the episode. A lot of times my wife asks me if I'm excited about going to, not necessarily any show or whatever, but I'm not like the kind of person that gets super excited about things. But I was really excited to go see Mr. Burns up at Bob Blue in Fort Collins. And Andy, my son, and I went up and saw that yesterday. I loved it. It was such a gloriously weird, very creative show. Are you familiar with this one, Kelly?
I am. I've never gotten to see it, but I've read it, and it's a show that I'd really love to direct at some point.
It is, as they say, nothing like On God's Green Earth. It's really enjoyed it, and of course, Bob Blue always does a great job, and it was a perfect show for them. It was really fun to see. So that was a lot of fun. Seeing that one up there. And of course, we stopped at the obligatory stop at Buc-ee's on the way home, which was
Of course, you got to do it.
Andy hadn't been, and he thought it was great. He was just like, wow. But that place is insane. I mean, it's just, I can't believe how busy it is all the time. It's like being at like Disneyland or something.
I've never been. I've never even driven by it. Mm-mm.
Really? Well, if you go up to Candlelight, you will pass it.
Maybe my family will do a pilgrimage when we've got some time.
Yeah. I mean, it's just a giant 7-Eleven is basically what it is. But it's definitely got some interesting, there's an entire wall of jerky. and there's like the kind of like weird tchotchkes, like, I don't know, like an elk antler with a John Wayne carved into it or some, crazy shit like that. And of course, they had all kinds of Halloween stuff now. Yeah.
Well, I'm always looking for some new decor for my home. So maybe
yes, you would definitely find some weird stuff there.
Up there for, yeah.
And then Toni, you and I both saw The Happiest Guy on Earth. So this is a one-person show at the Denver Center to open their season. This is a recollection of a real live person who lived through the Holocaust, a German fellow who lived from 1920 to 2021. So really, and so they'd written a story about his life, and he tells the story, basically says like, here's what happened, since starts kind of when he's around 13 in 1933, when Hitler takes over, and talks about, his parents are murdered at, one of the concentration camps, and he escapes again, and, all this stuff, and just really talked about some of the, the real down and dirty details of it, which is, always disturbing to hear. It's not a news story by any means. We've heard this before. I don't know that it was breaking any new ground. The performance was really good by what was the name of the actor, Toni?
Kenneth Tiger.
Yeah. So he was great, I thought, and they had a pretty good full house there at the theater, and and so you reviewed it, Toni. Can you want to sum up your review a little bit?
Yeah, I thought it was a pretty affecting performance. I liked that it was very minimalistic in style. They the design team chose to have all the lighting rigs in plain view, which I think was a strong choice. Because it really is just relying on the power of his words to kind of communicate this, along with some really impeccable sound design from the DCPA that they put together, which I thought really tied it all together in a nice package. Like you mentioned, you've probably heard a story similar to this before, but I still think that it's worth checking out for the strength of the performance. It really is moving. The guy is really able to embody a ton of different characters because he's telling his story, but also kind of swapping, like jumping in to play the guards, the other people in the camp with him. And I think it's worth seeing for the technical strength of the performance.
Yeah. Also, a great show for weenies like me that don't like to stay up late. I think I was at the show started at 7. It was like less than 90 minutes. I think I was back home by 9 o'clock, which is...
Oh, I love that.
I know. So, and then just on another topic, I saw They Might Be Giants at the Ogden on Saturday night, they're one of my favorite kind of dorky bands that just, they're so much fun in concert. And I grew up, my kids grew up hearing them all the time. So my sons are all fans as well. So I had 2 of my sons with me. So that was a ton of fun.
Did you make it home by 9 p.m.?
I did not. No, I think it was a little later than that. But yeah. So, just related to Mr. Burns, I was just going to mention that Matt Zambrano, who was on the podcast last time or two, is directing another production of that's going to be at Red Rocks Community College, sometime in October for 4 shows. If you want to catch it a little closer to Denver. So Toni, what did you get out to other than Happiest Man?
I caught a couple of shows this weekend. I went and saw Jebediah Blackstone. This is the new production by Jeff Campbell's company, Emancipation Theater. It's being performed over on the Clayton campus. This is the first time in decades that it's been used for any live theatrical performances.
Really?
And yeah, the space is pretty echoey too. It feels very much like it is a multi-purpose room that they have set up a stage and a sound system and lighting rig in. And that's the only kind of issue with the show, is that it's a hip-hop Western show, and you really want the diction to be clear, and it's super echoey, and so you missed some of the words in the song. But that was a minor quibble, and I think that could be fixed by just being in a slightly different venue, which I know that's Jeff Campbell's plan. He wants to tour this show. It's very historical in nature. It's kind of, he is being a real life, he's playing basically a fictionalized version of himself, like telling the story of him learning about Clara Brown and the history of Black people in Central City that he kind of found through a research project, and kind of narrativizing that with hip hop music in between. It's very affecting, very short. You will get home by 9 p.m. It's only about 75 minutes. But I would definitely recommend checking it out. It's a limited run through the 5th of October.
Okay, where is Clayton?
It's just north of the zoo in Denver. So it's in that neighborhood, kind of like northwest Denver. Yeah.
Okay.
And then I went and checked out Lady Day at Emerson's Bar and Grill over at the Arvada Center. Very technically well done production, really cool scenic design from Brian Malgrave. But I mean, that's just like saying the sky is blue at this point. He always does really remarkable stuff. He creates a very convincing, deteriorating cabaret style setting. The neon sign for Emerson's is like flickering in and out to kind of indicate that this is a very weathered space that we're seeing Billie Holiday perform in Philly. It's her final days. She's definitely using drugs. We see her do cocaine and drinking on stage during the performance. And I think that was a little bit, the actress who I saw playing the performance, Essence Anais Tyler, kind of went a little bit overboard on playing the intoxication element, so much that like diction really stumbled and you couldn't understand her, particularly in the second half of the show when she really kind of starts using. So I would hope that as it goes on, that would clean up, but it definitely kind of interfered with the clarity of the production just because of how kind of over the top and slurred it got.
I think that is kind of part of the design of the play. I haven't seen that production, but I believe that's sort of baked in to show how far she's gone down the rabbit hole of addiction. So just putting that out there.
Kelly, as a director, when you're directing an actor doing a drunk scene, what kind of how do you get them to portray that without going overboard? I mean, have you had much experience with that?
I mean, the rule is typically like you're always fighting, like showing like the intoxication that people that are typically drunk. If you are drunk and you're trying to have a conversation, you have to actively fight the intoxication so that you can have that conversation. Now, I haven't done a play where like someone who's so deep in addiction that it is like their demise. So that like the addiction is a plot point, and that like you're really trying to evoke something that is like truly destroying a person from the inside out. So like in that case, you're probably approaching it slightly differently in Lady Day, and especially since she's not having not seen the production, and I've never seen any production of Lady Day, that she's doing her cabaret performance. She's not having scene work with another actor, so it's hard to not be like, I have to show you how I'm feeling, what's going on with my body, because it's just the way this play is put together. But that's typically how, if you're just approaching a drunk scene in typical scene work.
Yeah. Of course, people that are real drunks are pretty good at not appearing drunk when they're drunk. So that's that's a really tricky acting job there.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I rounded out my weekend theatrically by heading over to Firehouse Theater Company to check out its regional premiere of Alabama Story. I had not seen this play before. It's based on a real life event surrounding this children's book about a black rabbit and a white rabbit getting married. It's set in the height of the civil rights movement. It gets caught up in like a culture war kind of thing. They don't call it that, but it definitely feels that way. That's how it would be. That's how it would be covered on Fox News today. But it's a very affecting story. It kind of follows the librarian who is at the helm of the Alabama library system and her fight with the state senator to kind of keep this book on the shelves, because she said it's important to just have a diverse point of views available for people to have without censorship. And I think it's a very timely message. Yeah. It's very well done production, directed by Melissa Lucero McCarl, who I think the direction, she stages it very theatrically. It's super heightened. She has lots of really intricate stage pictures that she creates. There's really lovely sound design that just kind of places you in the time period and the world. I really liked it. It's a very well done drama that I would recommend folks seeing.
Great. Sounds like a good Firehouse play.
Mm-hmm. Very good for that space, because they can they design it very well. There's two kind of fixed locations, that the library system and this park that is being closed down because white people would rather close the park than let black people have picnics there. And so those are two really firm set pieces. And then the middle is just kind of this staircase that they've designed to be multi-purpose. And I think it really works very effectively in that small space to go to multiple locations. It's smart.
Mm-hmm.
Smart. That's great.
And then
what about you, Kelly? Have you seen? Oh,
yeah, I was going to ask.
Yeah. What have I seen lately? Not a whole lot. I'm in rehearsal all the time, but I have seen two recent shows. One, Schoolhouse Rock Live. We just opened that like just a little over a week ago. So if you're, even if you don't have little ones, it's a super fun show, 80 minutes long. So you get in and out pretty quick. But it's just a fun ride of like of nostalgia and music. There's 21 songs in 80 minutes and super fun cast, super fun design. We had a really good time working on it. So really proud of the work we ended up doing on the production. And they're doing school day performances for schools, which is really rewarding. It's like why we should be doing theater, and the kids are loving it. And And then I just saw The Mousetrap at the Arvada Center. I thought it was a really fabulous production. Of course, beautiful production value. That's no surprise, but like expertly directed and performed. I thought it was really funny. I really enjoyed all of the performances. So I was really glad to have caught it. I've never seen Mousetrap before, so I was due.
Wow. Yeah, it just goes to show you somebody's been doing as much theater as you. Yeah, still haven't seen everything. Still the stuff out there. Like, can't believe I haven't seen this yet. But that's great that you got out to see that.
I think that wraps up what we've seen. Let's turn to the news bag. I want to direct our attention up north to Estes Park, where there's been quite a bit of arts news rumbling over at the Stanley. Last week, roughly 250 people gathered at the Stanley Hotel for the groundbreaking of the new Stanley Event Center and Blumhouse space last week. It was everybody from state leaders, Hollywood producers, Sundance representatives, and even the Estes Park Middle School Band, who played some music to help celebrate.
All right.
But the big centerpiece of the event was this 1,000-seat performance venue that they did the groundbreaking for, along with the Blumhouse Museum, which is going to display horror film artifacts from the studio's hits like Halloween and The Purge.
Wow.
And
right up your alley,
I know. It's cool. It was a cool event. Producer Jason Blum was on site to sign shovels, and he was promoting that the place is going to be a world-class horror destination, which makes sense given the hotel's already the connection that it has with The Shining.
Right.
Seems just right on brand. And this project is slated for completion in 2028. And Governor Polis was there to praise, and he praised the project's role in boosting Colorado's cultural profile and kind of highlighted this as being part of the pitch to lure the Sundance Film Festival to Colorado, because the director's lab is already up there. It's been hosted there for the past 2 years. So the kind of educational wing of Sundance was already here even before the formal decision to move to Boulder was made. And there's rumors that this 1,000-seat theater will be used for screenings, although nobody at the event would confirm that.
I mean, is it something that they would open to, other groups? Like we could see theater in there from different production companies, or?
It's a great question. I mean, Estes Park is pretty limited when it comes to space. There is the Historic Park Theater, but that is a single-screen movie theater that they have there, not really designed for theatrical performances. And then there's a space over at the YMCA, and then an outdoor kind of amphitheater vibe. So this could be used for that kind of stuff. The Stanley already has an event center. It's a lot smaller. It's like 450, 500 seats. It also kind of doubles as their ballroom where they host comedy and podcast groups now. So I would imagine that this is going to be a slightly more expanded version of that. Maybe some concerts there that could be used, that could be done in that space, but I don't know. You think people will go to Estes Park for those kind of things?
Yeah, it's a little bit of a trek. I mean, I haven't been to Estes Park in forever. So you go there regularly now since you're writing for the paper. Is it paper or is it an online publication?
Yeah, I've been doing a lot of work for the Estes Valley Voice, which is an independent, hyperlocal online news source for the Valley. So yeah, I've been making the trek out to Estes a lot more. I'll be going actually tomorrow. So when you're listening to this, listeners, today, because there's Sundance, there's a big event that's happening up there. Visit Estes Park is doing a fall community roundtable at the Stanley Hotel Pavilion, where Sundance leaders, including Jeff Levine, who's the head of audience development experience, is going to be talking about what's ahead for the festival. So maybe we'll have some more tangible news about Sundance and Estes Park and like what that relationship is going to look like next week on the podcast when I can report back.
And there was another bit of film news that you wanted to mention about the Colorado Film Commission.
That's right. Yeah. Just days before this big groundbreaking, the word broke that Donald Zuckerman, who is the longtime film commissioner and one of the architects of the Sundance relocation effort, has stepped down. His deputy, Ariella Bratchfeld, is going to serve as the interim commissioner. Zuckerman was a film producer who had more than 20 titles to his name and helped bring high-profile shoots like Quentin Tarantino's The Hateful Eight to Colorado. And his departure definitely leaves big questions for the industry ahead of the pivotal Sundance move to the area. And it's just curious, particularly given that there was no official reason given for the departure. And Zuckerman, who is pretty chatty normally, has been very quiet. So I'm not sure what's going on there.
Interesting.
Yeah, definitely interesting. Finally, before we kind of turn into what's going on with you, Kelly, I just wanted to quickly mention that Wayne Kennedy's celebration of life is being held today, Tuesday, September 30th at 7 p.m. at the Arvada Center. If in lieu of flowers, the Kennedy family is requesting that donations be made to the Denver Actors Fund. So you can show up, but if you can't show up, the family is also you can make those donations in his name.
Kelly, had you ever worked with Wayne?
I never had the pleasure. Of course, I saw him perform in many productions at Arvada and at BDT. It's a major loss for the community. So I'm very sorry for all his friends and family.
Sure is. All right. Well, let's turn to the reason we invited you on the show today. So you have a lot going on, but one of the things that piqued our interest was this Facebook post you did on the 27th of September, where you held auditions and a bunch of actors didn't show up. So you said you had a 32% no-show rate. So 12 people that had signed up didn't show up, and you had to wait for them to show up, and you pointed out that you missed time hanging out with your family, your young child, and it's just something that apparently is a thing going on. So what kind of feedback did you get on that?
Yeah, I guess I shouldn't be surprised that it got some traction. And honestly, I probably wouldn't have said anything because at this point, like it is common that we have no call, no shows. This seemed just a little bit extra this time, but the main thing was the last auditioner that had signed up for the very last slot, who had not left a phone number, like they didn't show up, and we waited 45 minutes for them, and we were all exhausted. We'd been there for 6 hours, like it just was so inconsiderate that I beyond just the fact that the 5 of us that were there to manage these auditions had wasted that much time. But just, beyond that, I was very tired. I really wanted to spend some extra time with my small kid. That was just such a major disappointment. And again, if that last auditioner hadn't no call, no showed on us, maybe I wouldn't have said anything, but it had been kind of popping up regularly on Facebook in particular, with other directors and producers saying, hey, what's going on? Why is this happening? Etc. So anyway, that was sort of the impetus behind it. I just I couldn't keep my mouth shut. So I was so tired by the time I got home and pretty annoyed. At any rate, it opens up a pretty big conversation every time this topic comes up. And this is not the first time. It's been going on for years. And certainly, again, like I mentioned, this is not the first time I've encountered no call, no shows. But it was just a little extra this time. And I just I had to say something.
Do you feel it's gotten just worse over the years? When did you first start noticing this kind of trend of no call, no shows?
I mean, since I started directing, I've noticed no call, no shows, but, since, over the course of many years, we've gotten, we're addicted to our phones. We're always on these communication devices, but we're so adverse to actually communicating at this point. And I think it's not just a theater problem. It's a problem, for employers in the dating scene. Like the ghosting thing is
the ghosting.
The ghost, I mean, it is really what it is. So, I used to think maybe it's just a generational thing. Like, it's sort of like I would notice it was like, oh, it was millennials and Gen Zers, but I wouldn't see it as much from Gen X or certainly from boomers. But, I do encounter like people that while they might not be no shows for like an audition, I'm in constant communication with people for lots of different reasons. I need someone to design this. I need someone to build this. I need an actor for this really specific thing. And people are always like, well, what actors get anxious and don't want to, like, they get very anxious before their auditions, and then they end up pulling out at the last moment because they just realize that the anxiety is too much for them. To that, I have to say, like, you probably should find a different hobby. But anxiety runs both ways. Like, I feel it every time I ask someone to take a role, because it's not just I'm asking someone else to do something for me too. I'm putting myself in a vulnerable spot as a director and a producer. So I can only give the anxiety thing so much credit, and especially for companies that, Performance Now, a lot of companies do use Sign Up Genius so that performers, auditioners have full autonomy over when they sign up and their own cancellation or moving of the time, which, we might have to stop doing that. We want people to have the ability to have autonomy over that. But if they're just going to abuse it, like, we're going to have to stop allowing that to happen. But yeah, it's just gotten so easy to sign up for an audition. And it's coming from people that I just don't think are truly serious about preparing and showing up. And then they find themselves like in a situation where they're just going to ghost because of who knows why. And yeah, it's just unfortunate. But I think we're going to have to take the autonomy away so that it doesn't get abused. So in that case, people are going to have to communicate more with the stage manager, production manager, producer to set up their time. Things are just going to get harder to do. It's going to take up time for everybody involved. But I think it will weed out the people that are looky-loos, that aren't really serious about showing up for an audition. And maybe that's for the good of the community. But when you're working at a level that's like Platte Valley Theater Arts or Performance Now, we're welcoming people that are amateur, that are like trying to put their foot into a theater that is accessible for the working Joe, that for the working family member, that want to do this as a hobby, and they love to do it. So we open up a lot of audition slots. For Performance Now, we do these large cast shows that a lot of people want to audition for. And so we will set up 6 hours in a day for people to come and make sure that they can be seen. We want people to be seen. And so for us and for them. If people are just going to abuse it, I think we just have to probably take that away for everybody. We just can't have 5 people wasting like 2 hours out of 6 just waiting for people.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. That is just a lot of time wasted. What is your kind of thoughts on video auditions being used as kind of a weed out? I was talking with the stage manager this weekend. I was like, have you seen the chatter on Facebook? And they're like, yeah. And one of the things that they have found to be successful for shows that they've stage managed is having actors just send in that thing ahead of time, and then kind of moving from there, doing more of, I guess, a callback kind of period. What are your thoughts on that?
I think actually it's a really smart way to go. It saves people the commute, plenty of time. You can just watch like if someone submitted something to me, when I've got 10 minutes here and there, I can watch their audition. There are people that aren't comfortable creating their own self-tape. It's not easy for everybody to do. So, we want to be cognizant of those performers that don't have that ability to do something like that. And then also, when if it's someone I know, if someone I've seen perform before, or I happen to know them in passing, that's one thing. But when it's a brand new person, there is video doesn't quite show you exactly what their abilities are. So there are good things and bad things about having a video, but it's certainly better than me wasting 2 hours on a Saturday. So, I do hope people will take advantage when there is a video offer. And I think at this point, nobody's turning video away. So
Right.
it's probably the smart way to go.
What about public shaming? Blackballing them,
I'm
names.
Yeah. I'm not a proponent of that. I think I think internally it's important that an organization is like paying attention to the data. So, most of the time when we do have no call, no shows, these are not names I know. And I typically don't recognize the names or I typically never see that name again. So part of me wonders, are these trolls? Are they even real people? It's hard to say. But I think if you need to have a list of just like, because when you're doing these, you're spending a lot of resources to do auditions, you do need to be paying attention to the data, who's showing up and who's not. Because if we see the same name over and over again, we need to find out why that is. But typically, like I said, that's not typically common. But I truly don't think public shaming is the way to go.
I don't think so either. But back in the day, it'd be like there was a 2 or 3 hour window, and you had to sit your ass there for the whole time. And when your time came, if you weren't there by the time it ended, you didn't get to audition.
Yeah.
And so you're asking for a little bit more time on the part of the auditioners, but it seems like you would solve that problem that way. But I'm sure there's plenty of different approaches to it that you can take. But it was interesting because I hadn't known this was such a big issue, and there were certainly people who responded to that Facebook post saying, me too.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's a good conversation to have. And I thought when I posted it the other night, I thought, well, I typically don't want to get too controversial on the socials. I usually just want to post pictures of my cute boy and information about my projects. But if it changed the mindset of one person, then I think it did its job. But I really do hope people like that are signing up for auditions. I really want people to start examining before they sign up. Like, am I really serious about this production? Just not, I'm a performer, I'm just going to audition. No, when you're signing up for an audition, you are committing to that show because the potential is that you might get offered this show. And then are you going to say yes? But if you're not really serious about it, then just don't waste the time. And we do have a lot of people that do cancel, but they're canceling the morning of. And again, that is also a waste of time because again, we're trying to accommodate a lot of people that want to be seen. And if you're not really serious about being seen, then just don't sign up or wait until you know for sure. Sign up for the audition the day of if you finally decide, okay, I really do want to audition for this show. And I think that is like a lifelong lesson. It doesn't just apply to theater. Like if you're going to do something, like if you're a yes for it, be a full yes. Don't be like a partial yes or a maybe a no. Like don't be a flake in any aspect of your life. You need to be someone that like if you're
here.
Exactly. Your word is your reputation. It's a part of your character. If you say yes to something, be a full yes. So anyway, and also I do think it's a good for organizations and institutions to be self-reflective. Like, is there a reason why people are signing up and not showing up? Or is it something on our end? Like just evaluating practices just to make sure that everyone's being respectful, like that the organization isn't wasting time of auditioners, et cetera. But we just have to meet somewhere in the middle. But the main thing is like, just follow through.
Yep. A pox on flakes everywhere. They're bane of my existence. Drive me crazy.
I guess it's people who work in communications too. Like it's just wild to me to read like people kind of defending their choice to not communicate in some of the threads. I was like, this doesn't fly in any part of the other world.
It really
Why would you do
doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
this to theater where like this is what you say you love? Like show some respect to the other people, the other artists who are putting their time into this.
And we understand that like things do happen, like cars break down, phones break,
of course,
emergencies, but it has to be the exception, not the rule. So we we just have to be smart about this.
Right. Yeah. And if you can't make it to the audition, how am I the shows? So that's important too.
Yeah.
So, on to happier news. Congratulations on the recent announcement that you're the new artistic director of Performance Now, where you got your start as a director.
Yeah,
so
that's right.
How are you feeling about that? How'd that all come about?
Oh gosh. I mean, just my history with the company. I mean, I started performing there in 2006. So over the course of, almost 20 years now, I've been a part of over 40 productions, whether that was a performer or choreographer or director and choreographer. So Nancy Goodwin founded the company back in 2001-ish, before I was around. And then she passed away sadly in 2007. And then Elisa Inahara took the reins as the artistic director 15 years ago. And of course, she'd been a long time performer and board member for Performance Now. And then she moved a couple years ago back to San Diego, to her hometown. And so she's been doing the job remotely. But, she's a busy woman with an important job. And she knew that she needed at some point to pass along the torch. And I suppose it made the most sense that someone who had the most credits with the company kind of stepped into that role, because I've been around a long time with the company and I know the space and the people, and so I'm excited to keep working with the brand.
Are you still going to be working at Platte Valley Theater Arts?
Yes.
Now? Okay. Yes.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So you'll be a double artistic director too.
I will. Yeah. Platte Valley, we have a really wonderful board of active board members. So they take on a big lift of the administrative sort of things, and of course our youth programming. And so I'm kind of in charge of like 3-ish productions a year at Platte Valley, plus some like grant writing and some other things like that. And then at Performance Now, they do 4 shows a year. I will not direct all 4 of those shows, but I'll be there to be the artistic leader, to mentor, help the director establish or get the accomplish the vision that they were going for. So it's a lot, but I've always liked a full plate. So why not? Let's just get busier, I guess.
Any thoughts on Performance Now? So Performance Now is pretty well known as a company that does, old favorites and does them well. And any thoughts about, is that going to change at all? Or are you going to kind of stick to the program? Or
yeah, I think they have a pretty well-established brand and reputation. To do things that don't work well in the Lakewood Cultural Arts Center seems like not like a great idea. So it's this beautiful, large space that should have beautiful, large musicals put on it. So, for me, like when I do my little shows up in Brighton, I'm picking pieces that I think are going to really work well for the space. And I think that's also something that Performance Now has always wanted to do. And that's what their patron base wants. They want these big splashy musicals with great music and a live band and great dancing. So why not? And there's not a lot of other companies that are really doing things like South Pacific in the Denver metro. Candlelight does a lot of these types of shows, but they're not accessible for people that live in central Denver. We have a lot of an older population that might not want to drive up to Johnstown to catch an Oklahoma or South Pacific or 42nd Street, that kind of thing.
Sure. Unless they're on their way to Buc-ee's.
Exactly, unless they're going to Buc-ee's.
If you ever wanted to start a dinner theater, Performance Now would be a great platform.
Not a terrible idea.
Just need a space. So,
yep.
All right. Well, Toni, did you have any other questions about that before we move on? I wanted to ask her about Frankenstein.
No, I want to get to Frankenstein.
Yeah, tell us about this production of Frankenstein coming up. This is a Nick Deer adaptation. What is different about this one from the original, or
Sure. So in this one's definitely told from the perspective of the creature. So he is in basically every scene. It is very much motivated by his creation. And if you're not familiar with the Nick Dear production, it was commissioned back in 2011 by the National Theatre out in London, and initially starred Benedict Cumberbatch and Johnny Lee Miller alternating in the two main roles of Victor Frankenstein and the creature.
There's
And
a
then they did it.
great recording of that available.
Oh,
I
yes.
watched it in
Yep.
my drama class. That was
Mhm.
that was one of the versions that we studied. It was
Yes.
it's
Yeah,
great production.
fabulous production. I saw it, at the National Theater live that they do at the Sea Film Center. I saw both versions with Benedict as the creature and Johnny Lee as the creature, because I wanted to see the difference between their two takes on
Mhm.
the roles. And of course, I have I had a National Theater Live at Home subscription. I got that for a birthday a couple years ago, and so I was watching that many times. It's such a fabulous production, and they did it at the Denver Center, maybe like 2017 or 18, there around that time, and that was a really lavish production with some really incredible talent. So it's a really um, it's a really cool script. I mean, it's really evocative, and really a wonderful story, and it really makes you feel things. And it's such a clear, concise story of if someone is born, and they're a blank slate, who is responsible for how they turn out. So because Victor, immediately, this is not a not a spoiler, he abandons the creature right away, and of course, this creature is then left to their own devices to navigate the world, and because they're different, they are beaten and humiliated and debased and all these things. And he goes from an innocent to someone who's very much not, a man of revenge and rage. And who is he responsible for that? Or like, who is? So it really is a piece that makes you think. It's a really a physical piece of theater, in particular for our creatures, played by Jeff Parker. And yeah, it's it's just such a different play that I haven't ever done, a piece that's been like a bit of a thriller, and doing some movement stuff that I haven't done since I was in theater school, So
Uh-huh.
it's been a really fun process.
Other than Jeff Parker, who
Mhm.
else is in the cast?
Bill Diggle is Victor Frankenstein. Jordan Zabilski is Elizabeth, his fiance. It's a cast of 16, so I don't know if I'll remember everybody.
Oh wow! I
But
thought it was going to be
yeah,
smaller than that. Yeah.
no, it's actually a really large production, and I want to say the National Theater's production might have had. I mean, it's somewhere in the 20s. They had a really large group of actors. And it's interesting because the piece really silos these characters. So these people play the bigger at the beginning, and then you don't see them again. And except for the Frankenstein family. But some of the stuff that the people that the creature encounters sort of at the beginning, they do not return. So it's pretty interesting. But we have a cast of 16. Yeah.
So, what's next for you?
Whoo, are you ready for the list? I knew you'd ask me
Yes,
that, so
give
I
it to us.
actually I had to write it down. So I've got Frankenstein opening the 10th of October, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, November 1st and 3rd. That's a free TYA production that will be up at Platte Valley Theater Arts, starring Rachel Graham and Carter Edward Smith. And then we're going to remount Hedwig with Julia over at her Ballyhoo space.
Right.
Yep. And then I'll open Mary Poppins down at Colorado Springs Fine Arts Center right before Thanksgiving. So I'm
Whoa.
directing
That's a big one.
that. It is a big one. I am not choreographing it because I am not crazy. So Jeffrey Denman, if you guys are familiar with Jeffrey, he was the choreographer for Damn Yankees that I directed over at Arvada 2 years ago or so. Jeffrey's
Mhm.
fabulous. So I'm probably most excited about working with Jeffrey on this project. But also Chris down at the Colorado Springs Fine Arts Center, he was also involved with Damn Yankees as a scenic designer. So I'm excited to work with him again. And then The Tomato Plant Girl, which was a TYA show that we did up at Platte Valley, is actually going to go down to Parker and will be at the Schoolhouse Theater in December. And then finally, this is something that is sort of an ongoing project that Platte Valley, I sent you a press release for this, but the Big Read project that we got a grant from the National Endowment for the Arts will start in November. And the Big Read centers on a piece of literature and a theme. And so I wrote this grant to focus our project on a book called When the Emperor Was Divine by Julie Otsuka. And it's a story of Japanese incarceration during World War II. And the city of Brighton has a big population of of Japanese Americans, because this was an area that a lot of Japanese Americans settled in after the war and after the Japanese incarceration. So Japanese internment or incarceration has been sort of on my radar for some time, like looking for a piece of theater that I wanted to do that would sort of celebrate the Brighton, or I should say Japanese American history, but specifically for Brighton. So we'll focus part of our project on the book. We'll have some public readings. Well, basically a community book club. But the final part of the project is that we'll present Gene Cicada's one-man play, Hold These Truths, and Rob Payo will play the man in the play, and it's based on a true story as well.
Did you all not get the memo from the administration that we are not supposed to talk about such negative aspects of American history?
I am aware of this, which was I actually wrote the grant before the administration kind of like went that far to the right. But when I got the grant, which was or I found out I got the grant in like June, I was like, are they aware of what my play or what my what this book is trying to say? So
cash the check quick.
Exactly. I'm waiting for that reimbursement. So yeah. But we're all in, no matter what. We're all in now. So
great. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Kelly, for making some time to join us on the OnStage Colorado podcast. Is there anything else you want to plug before we let you go?
Oh, my gosh. Yeah, I mean, I hope everyone will come up and see Frankenstein. We do it like our Platte Valley performances are like our blink of an eye. We open on the 10th, we close on the 19th. So there's 8 performances, really incredible performances by our cast, and it's such a cool play, and it like gets all senses going. So I hope everyone will come up for the little spooky season and see some cool theater with us.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to be up there on the 11th. But
great, yes.
All right. Well, thanks again, Kelly, and we look forward to seeing all of the stuff you're putting out on stage.
Great. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you guys having me on.
Okay, now we are going to take a quick break, and we'll be back with our interview with Ryan Fitzgerald from Shucked.
OnStage Colorado is brought to you by the Aurora Fox Arts Center, presenting Schoolhouse Rock Live, September 19th through October 18th. Relive the magic of Saturday mornings following Tom, a nervous young teacher, as characters on his TV spring to life and show him how to inspire his students through imagination and music. Tickets at aurorafoxartscenter.org. OnStage Colorado is sponsored in part by Colorado Candlelight, featuring Steel Magnolias, September 11th through November 9th. In a small Louisiana beauty salon, 6 women share humor, love, and strength in a play that blends heartwarming comedy with moments of poignant emotion. Tickets at coloradocandlelight.com. We're also supported by the Boulder Ensemble Theater Company, whose production of The Thin Place plays at the Boulder Dairy Center October 3rd through 26th. Lucas Nath's play is the story of a teenage girl who claims she can communicate with the dead and brings a recently deceased woman back to life during a church service. Tickets at betc.org. And we're also supported by Denver's Curious Theater, presenting Eureka Day by Jonathan Spector, September 4th through October 5th. This timely story is about parents at a progressive private school who face a crisis when a mumps outbreak occurs and they must confront their beliefs about vaccination. Tickets at curioustheater.org. OnStage Colorado is brought to you by Littleton Town Hall, whose production of Buddy, the Buddy Holly story, runs September 12th through October 19th. From his meteoric rise to fame to his legendary final performance, this musical features all of Buddy's greatest hits. Tickets at townhallartscenter.org. Also supporting OnStage Colorado is the Colorado Springs Fine Arts Center at Colorado College, presenting Miss Holmes and Miss Watson September 18th through October 5th. Oddball female roommates Sherlock Holmes and Joan Watson join forces and emerge from the COVID pandemic fog as a deeply codependent, quasi-dysfunctional odd couple adventure duo. Tickets at fac.coloradocollege.edu. All right. Hey, we're here with Ryan Fitzgerald, who is in the touring production of Shucked, which is coming through the Denver Center at the Buell Theater October 7th through 19th. Ryan, thanks for coming on the OnStage Colorado podcast.
Thank you for having me, Alex. We started in Providence, Rhode Island in actually a year ago now.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you're in the ensemble, and so you're probably on stage pretty much the whole time in all the different numbers and dancing and things like that. So
that's correct.
That has got to be pretty tiring, huh?
It is. You got to keep your wits about you. You got to have a sound body and a sound mind.
That's right. So it's cool to talk to you because you're a Colorado person. You grew up in Longmont, went to the Denver School for the Arts, and I love this story that I was reading where you're talking about how you saw Fame at what was it, the Longmont Theater.
At Jester's Dinner Theater.
Jester's. Oh wow, yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
And so that was really what kind of gave you the spark to pursue acting. Or just
absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
No, yeah. Scott and Mary Lou Moore, they are the best. I owe so much to them. They gave me a wonderful place to sort of get my hands dirty, play around, really, sort of craft what I was doing and figuring out what I wanted to do and explore, which so many people are not allowed that kind of safe space. And it was also so quick. Like we were learning stuff super, super fast. So you had to, kind of get with the program or get off the train. And after that, their niece Kathleen, she had said we'd watched that, and I was like, gosh, I wish that there was such a place that existed like that. And she said, well, there is. It's in Denver. And I was like, what? And she said, you got to audition. So I did, and the rest is history.
Yeah. That's great. So you're at the Denver School of Arts and learned quite a bit. You cited your teacher, Sean Hahn, for talking about a mindset of what can I give to you, rather what can I get as an actor. And I was wondering how that ensemble first mentality shapes the approach that you have now for being in a Broadway tour versus pursuing lead roles or something like that.
Well, I mean, that's sort of always been on my plate is always like, you want to be the lead player or one of them in it. Because I do understudy a lot, and I have been, for me, it's sort of actually exactly as you said. It's like, what can I give to you, or rather than what can you give to me? For me, I have just always followed the work. Where is the work and what is the good work? And wherever it is, that's where I'll go. And if I see myself in certain things, because sometimes I do see myself in stuff and I'm like, oh, well, I'm definitely not going to be able to, none of those parts are mine, but the ensemble in there, that's got my name written all over it. I've done like 6 productions of West Side Story, and I've played Action, who is a principal. He's like sort of the counterpoint. He's the second in command to Riff. And that is, I think, sort of that is within itself still an ensemble. There's an ensemble mentality because it's a gang, right?
Right.
But then it allows for people who are normally in the ensemble, dancers, to actually step outside of the line and have to use their voices to speak alone, solo. It's a wonderful piece. And also the script of West Side Story is so condensed. It's almost like poetry. The sentences are so small and short. Arthur Lawrence, who wrote the book, it's incredible for that. It's so straightforward and easy to sort of go from being in the ensemble to saying lines on stage. It was a wonderful gift that was given to me, I think, having done that many times.
That's great. Yeah. So you've performed at the Arvada Center. You're back at the
I have. Lynn Collins represent, and Kenny. They're the best. Oh my gosh, what they've got going on over there is everybody got to see those shows. They are just doing such great stuff, doing new stuff. They're and they really, really, really care. It was such a blessing to have gotten to return, because it's sort of wonderful, this full circle moment of coming back to the Buell of all places. But when I graduated college and continued to work the reps and tour Europe with West Side Story, I'd always been like, gosh, I really would just love to go back to the motherland and be in and be in anything. And then when Beautiful came up, the Carole King musical, which is a show that I also did not really see myself in, but I was like, I just love her music so much. And when they cast me in that, oh my gosh, it was overwhelming. Every day was a gift because it was so fun. That music is so iconic, but also to go through those different decades of her life. So you have like the 50s and the 60s and the 70s. The clothes were amazing. And the show itself, and Emily was so like, yeah, just so great. I loved it. Arvada was wonderful. And then getting to do Cinderella right after it in the holiday season, to be home again for the holidays with them.
Yeah.
Doing that. Yeah.
So, so so you're talking about coming back home. It's got to be kind of neat to perform closer to your hometown, and it feels different than the touring cities where you don't necessarily have any roots or that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But still, yeah, you got to see the world, so that's fun.
Oh yeah, I mean, well, I was born in Atlanta, but I grew up in Colorado. We moved to Colorado when I was 4 years old. So my mother took my grandmother on my dad's side to see shows at the Fox in Atlanta, which is the largest house that we performed. It was, I want to say, I mean, technically it's 4,700 seats, but I think that with all of the people in there, I mean, it was close to 5,000. So that was unbelievable. And I was also going on for the lead the entire week because he had gotten sick.
Oh, wow.
So I got to do the, play the lead. Speaking about that, ensemble, I got to play the lead in the largest house that we had on tour for that many people is an experience I will never forget. It was wild to just sort of hear this monumental roar across the cornfield, across it coming back, like these people, because, the jokes. It's the show that when Shucked was on Broadway, it was in a sort of more intimate. Most Broadway houses are intimate. They're like 1,800 seats to like 2,000.
Right.
And with something like that, the jokes happen, and then it sort of permeates the rest of the audience as they catch on to the joke, and then it comes back. It's such an incredible phenomena. So Atlanta was amazing. We're going to be going to Oklahoma City, which is where I did a lot of regional summer stock there at the Lyric Theater of Oklahoma. And my father lives in Portland, so getting to go to Portland where he lives.
Uh-huh.
And then obviously Colorado. I am so pumped.
It seems like these Midwestern states would be really responsive to a show called Shucked.
No, well, oh gosh, like I didn't even know that Des Moines they have something going on in terms of like it's like the most corn processed per capita, I guess. It's like the corn capital of the country or something like that. Des Moines ate this up. They ate it up. They ate that corn. It was amazing, if you will,
Yeah.
It was great.
I've always wanted to ask somebody who's in one of these touring productions to just sort of briefly describe what's a week in the life look like, when you're packing out, you're going to the next city. I mean, what does that look like for you?
So I will start that off by saying it is not for the faint of heart. It is one of the hardest things to do. It is, and it's not for everybody. It's for the most part, this show, we've been kind of blessed. So we've had like probably 6 weeks, I think, straight once of 1-weekers. So you're in a different city every week for 6 weeks. And then we've had like 2 weeks in one place. And then we have 3 weeks, or then we have like another set of 1-weekers for 3 or 4 weeks. So with that in mind, basically when you're in the thick of it, when you're in the throes of those 1-weekers, you got to be very organized. You arrive on Monday. For myself, that is the day of like rest. I have to just like, I've arrived to where I'm staying, which is normally an Airbnb or the company housing. I make sure that I have everything is there. I haven't forgotten anything in the past city. And it behooves you to stay inside the suitcases, because if you take stuff out, you just got to put it back in. You make sure you got everything in your compression bags. Everything is there. Then maybe you go out for a meal, or you just order in, or you just chill. So then Tuesday is when we report for work, which is 5 p.m., which is 2 hours before our half-hour call. So on that, I'll go to the gym on the Tuesday. I'll go to the grocery store to get everything that I need for the week. I will then come home, cook everything that I need for the week, and prepare my food, and then off to the theater at 5. Then we go through sound check. We have company meeting. Then you're basically got like an hour till you have to get ready into costume, and then you start
Mhm.
the show. Show ends, you go back home, and then you got Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. If you don't have understudy rehearsals, which basically every other week we have an understudy rehearsal, and since I understudy two leads, I will be in understudy rehearsal every other week on either Wednesday or Thursday. So that's like, we basically run the show as the character that you understudy. So I really get like Wednesday and Friday all off. I just have to report to the show half an hour. So normally it'll either be like an 8 o'clock show or 7:30 or 7. So 30 minutes before that. And then you got Saturday, which is 2 shows. You got Sunday, which is 2 shows. And then you're out of that town on Monday morning, going on to
Mhm.
the next one.
Brutal.
I mean,
That's
again, as I
yeah.
said, it's not for everybody. I've got it down to a science. It's kind of, yeah, it's tough. But we've been in San Francisco for 4 weeks, so it's been
Yeah.
complete blessing,
You were saying
truly.
you got groceries and cooked your meals. Are you usually staying in like I don't know, an Airbnb or
Yes,
you're not in
I normally
hotels
stay
or
with Airbnbs, or I stay with a
Mhm.
friend of a friend of a friend.
Right.
Um, like when I was in Providence, I stayed with a friend of a friend, and that was wonderful. Um, And then a bunch of us, because I found that what keeps my sanity on the road is cooking my own meals.
Right.
So I do that. I also am traveling the country with a collapsible bicycle.
Mhm.
So the bicycle, it collapses down to like basically the size of the wheel. It's like 25 pounds. It goes inside of a bag that I line with compression bags of my clothing, and
Right.
then it maxes out at 50 pounds. So that goes on the airplane with me.
Okay. That's
So
what I
that
was gonna
makes
ask. Yeah, so it's airplane. You're not like on some big bus or something like that.
It depends. If the city is less than a specific distance,
Mhm.
then we will take a bus. But if it's really far away, like if we're going from Denver to Boise, Idaho, no, we're getting on a plane.
Right. Okay. And I was just one more question I just wanted to ask. So when you're in these other cities, do you usually try and make time to go see the local sites or, go out places with the cast or have fun in the place where you are?
Absolutely. The cast likes to do we like to do there's a Thirsty Thursday situation. So one guy in the crew, he like finds a bar that's sort of near, that's not that's like sort of in everyone's price point. We got kind of like a dive.
Uh-huh.
So that will be Thirsty Thursdays. We got that, which I sometimes frequent. But I really do the biking. It makes it so easy to go everywhere. Here
Right.
in San Francisco, I went to the most amazing place called Sutra Baths, which is outside of Golden Gate Park. It's sort of north of it, and it is the ruins of an 1896 public pool complex that has basically completely decayed, and part of it is being taken back by the sea. But I mean, it's also you traverse this area at your own risk, but they definitely have signs to be like, please stay on the dune, please stay off the dunes and stay on the paths. But it is an incredible place to witness, just like a place that's, over 100 years old. It
Uh-huh.
is beautiful. So I do. I try to go see as much as I can and still be able to do the show and not ask too much of my legs because I got to use them at night.
Right. All right. Well, I know are there plans to go international with this one? Do you know?
Well, they already did it in the West End. I
Hmm.
think that they want to try to take it to Australia. I don't know if that will be with our company. I think they want to do like a local a local group of people there. So get some Aussies shucking corn,
Uh-huh.
telling
Okay.
telling corny jokes.
Right.
Um, but yeah, no, they did the West End. I think that's the long and short of it. There's talk of a
Right.
movie.
Uh-huh.
I hope they do it. I hope they get it. I hope we can share the good word.
Uh-huh. One last thought, Ryan. What do you love about this show? What do you love about being in it?
I love that it is bringing a large group of people together to experience the same cathartic release of laughter. That it brings all these people together no matter where they're from, and there's something for everyone. You may not laugh at everything, but we're going to get you one way or another. And that is something that is so important, particularly now. People need to laugh more than ever, and also need to they need to get out of these things. And
You're
theater is
fun.
an
Yeah.
ancient tradition, and we are taking that tradition all the way to the cornfield, and it's amazing, if you will. It's such a gift. I love that we get to make people laugh, and also it's got so much heart. It's not just hardy har har har.
Uh-huh.
It's sweet and charming.
Mhm. All right. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing it when you guys are in town. Good luck with the rest of your run there in San Francisco, and we'll see you October 7th through 19th here in Denver. Thanks so much for being on, and break a leg out there.
Of course, Alex. Thank you so much. You have a good day now.
All right. All right.
All right, now it's time for this week's headliners. These are some of the shows of interest coming up in the next week or so that you might want to check out. Alex, what do you have to start with?
Well, let's see. Well, I wanted to mention one I think you're going to. It's called The Pumpkin Kid at Ballyhoo Table and Stage. So this is the aforementioned Julia Tobey's venture. This is kind of one of the first, I don't know, I guess, full runs of a show that they've done there. This is a family-friendly musical with a live band and a pumpkin carving extravaganza. So I don't know. We'll probably bring it up again in our spooky season episode next week. But that one sounds like fun for the whole family.
Definitely. Yeah, it's the first full performance because David Nels had been doing some nights of cabaret in the space, but this will be the launch of the space before the big production Hedwig in November.
Yeah, so that one's October 4th through the 25th.
My first headliner this week is First Date over at Vintage Theater in Aurora. This follows new people who are going on a blind date, and you're watching it unfold in real time, and the couple kind of quickly realizes that they're not alone on this adventure. The other people in the restaurant are also having very interesting dates of their own. One thing about this, it has a bit of an odd performance schedule. It's only being performed in the small theater at Vintage Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesdays.
Yes. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that does because those are typically days that I think most theaters think people don't come to the theater.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting attempt. I kind of want to follow up with Bernie after and just be like, did it sell? Like, were people interested? Is it like a movie theater? Could you convince people to come during the week, or do you have patrons who are like, nope, I'll only come on the weekends?
I do think Vintage has sort of trained their patron base that, they've got stuff going on all the time. They've got that little cabaret stage in the front and the two other theaters. So maybe it's not a heavy lift for them to think they can pull that off. So we'll see. Looking way down south in Durango, Merely Players, friends of the pod, are doing Hamlet October 3rd through 12th. So no particularly crazy version of Hamlet. They're just doing Hamlet. So if you're down in SoCo and you want to check it out, Merely Players is the place to be.
Nice. I got a spooky show next for my next headliner, The Vampire of Cripple Creek. This is being performed at the Butte Theater in Cripple Creek, October 3rd through November 2nd. And this is an adaptation of Bram Stoker's Dracula that is set in the shadow of the Colorado Rockies at the once grand Collins Hotel, who is now under new ownership by Count Dracula. So vampire shenanigans ensue. This is a classic melodrama that they're doing. I guess it's not a classic one. It's their own original adaptation that they're doing in a melodramatic fashion.
We should try and get down there sometime. I've never been to that theater. I think it'll be a lot of fun. This sounds like a really good opportunity. Maybe we should try and get to this one.
Yeah. Good idea.
Road trip to Cripple Creek. My next one is a much different kind of show. Cat on a Hot Tin Roof is the Denver Center's sort of marquee production for the fall, running October 3rd through November 2nd. Of course, Tennessee Williams Pulitzer Prize winning play features, kind of this classic story about family dynamics. But it also, what's notable about it, features a decent number of Colorado actors, including a friend of the pod, Noelia Antweiler as Margaret, Mark Rubald as Dr. Bao, Lawrence Hecht as Big Daddy, and Jim Hunt as Reverend Tooker. So this is most news because this is his first time on the DCPA stage after many decades acting in Colorado. So I think a lot of people are really excited to see Jim up on the big stage at the Denver Center in this one.
Have you seen this play before?
No, I haven't seen the movie either. So I'm really looking forward to seeing it because it'll be like it's a brand new play for me.
Yeah, I know they're in previews this week. I'm planning to catch it on its opening night on the 10th of October. I think you're going to be there too.
Yep.
Okay. Exciting stuff. My next headliner is out in Pueblo by the Impossible Players. A Fine Monster You Are. This follows sweet old Emily Holbrook, who is interviewing sweet young Suzetta Larson for a job as a secretary companion. She quietly explains that her ancient family mansion has a secret. There may or may not be a monster in the basement. Dun, dun, dun. And
Okay.
thus is the play.
All right. This time of year, there's always a monster in the basement, in case you're wondering.
Yeah, just
my
don't
next
go
one-
down to the basement. Yeah, not right now.
My next one is one we've already spoken about, Alabama Story at Firehouse Theater. This is at the John Hand Theater in Denver, September 27th, runs to October 26th. So from what you're talking about, it sounds like it's another great outing from Firehouse, which is just always putting out solid productions, and we'll have your review of that pretty soon.
That's right. I'll also be reviewing this next one for the site, A Case for Black Girls Setting Central Park on Fire. This is being produced by local theater company over at the Dairy Arts Center in Boulder, and it follows a brilliant 12-year-old black girl who runs for her life from Brooklyn to Harlem. Looks like a pretty interesting production from the early production photos that have been coming out. Looks like they've put treadmills in the stage that they're having actors run on kind of constantly throughout. I'm very curious to see how that works in practice.
Yeah, like OK Go meets local theater.
That's a really good reference, Alex.
And that one's directed by a friend of the pod, Betty Hart, right?
That's right.
All right. My last headliner is Dracula at Colorado Ballet. This is going to be early October. They're getting a jump on spooky season, October 3rd through 12th. So I don't know anything other than this, other than it's a ballet about Dracula. But I will say that our most knowledgeable dance reviewer, Alice Caterlin, has said that Colorado Ballet has really been picking up steam and really impressing her compared to where they were a few years ago. So it sounds like might be a good time to go. If you haven't seen a ballet recently, maybe this would be a fun one to go to for the spooky season.
I won't say I'm super knowledgeable about dance, definitely not as much as Alice, but I've seen this production that they've done. They did it 2 years ago, and it is fantastic.
Really?
It's so athletic. They've got lots of jump scares in there. The score is super haunting. It's really a treat.
Great. All right.
My final headliner this week, rounding us out with some more spooky stuff. It's Stephen King's Misery on stage over at the Westcliff Center for the Performing Arts, October 3rd through the 12th. This follows a writer who gets kidnapped by his biggest fan, and madness ensues in this cabin.
Yep. Pretty well-known story. Stephen King is certainly hotter than ever right now. He's got another one of his films or books adaptations on the big screen. Have you seen The Long Walk?
I have seen The Long Walk. I thought it was pretty good. I thought, aside from a Mark Hamill's kind of campy, over the top performance, the acting was very strong, and it was definitely very violent. Though, I mean, you are watching 49 boys be slaughtered as they walk along the road. If they are not, because the whole premise is if you can't walk for 3 miles, keep a pace of 3 miles an hour, you will be killed, and you're just trying to be the last person standing.
Wow, kind of like Speed with walking.
So, yeah, very much so. Yeah.
All right. Well, that's it for the headliners. We're getting
and that brings us to the end of the show for this week. So,
yeah,
Alex, what's up on the pod next week?
So we are going to do our annual spooky season roundup. So we're going to talk about plays, musicals, haunted houses, all kinds of stuff that's going to be on stage around the state. We're not going to hit everything, but we'll do it's kind of as much as we can to give people an idea what they can get out to. And then, as I think the podcast after this, October 14th, we were going to dive into a very interesting topic: booze in theaters, and perhaps some issues about people being overserved and how that affects theater. So that should be an interesting conversation. Also based on an OnStage or on the OnStage blog, the national blog about theater, did a story about that. I thought was pretty interesting. So. Also, upcoming reviews to look at include your review of Lady Day at Emerson's Bar and Grill, your review of Alabama Story. I'll have a review of Mr. Burns from Bob Blue. I know you're going to get up to Steel Magnolias at Candlelight and maybe do a little compare and contrast to the one we saw at Theater Silco earlier this year. And then the Pumpkin musical at Ballyhoo and Case for Black Girls. So you're going to be writing fool to get all these reviews done.
This is accurate. This is our busy season, and it's not like the other work has slowed down. It's just there's tons of theater shows to catch up. Not that I'm complaining. I love to be busy. So if you want to stay up to date on all of this, all the writing that we're going to be doing between two of us over the next couple of weeks, and some of the other correspondents who are catching shows in other parts of the state, you're going to want to subscribe to the OnStage Colorado Theater Blast, which comes out every week, and go ahead and rate, review, and be sure you are subscribed to this podcast so you don't miss any updates.
Absolutely. All right. Well, that's all for this week. Thanks so much for listening. I'm Alex Miller.
And I'm Toni Tresca, and we'll see you at the show.